Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the AFL02 Week 1 draw video and the AFL1 closing video, so recap video. So I've had an interesting week, actually. So I was in Great Yarmouth at the beginning of the week to see Glenn Wickham, Martin Andrews, and all was really well. Until I played football Tuesday night and ended up rupturing my Achilles tendon. So I now can't walk, I can't drive, and I'll be mostly wearing shorts for the next 2 months. Okay, but one good thing that did come out of that was I met Neil Bowman. So Neil was the guy that registered to play, paid to play, played the first week, got a 9-point week, did really well, and then disappeared. So I was desperate to ask Neil what happened, and I met him on Tuesday night. So I did. I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I remember." He said, "What it was." He says, "I was on holiday, and it was raining, and I was stuck in the room, and I was bored, and so I signed up to play your game, and then it stopped raining, and I wasn't bored anymore." Okay, so AFL1 winner, Darren Mitchell. I think we all suspected he might win it because he had a good lead going into the final week, although he only won by 1 point, and it seems that 44 points is the benchmark. You get 44 points in this league, and you've probably won it. Darren also had an invincible. Darren is an invincible. He is the first person. There's only been 2 tournaments, but he's the first person to go the entire tournament unbeaten and win it. I also went unbeaten, but came third. So well done, Darren. You are now the poster boy of the league for the next 6 weeks. Literally, there is a poster of you on the Hall of Fame page, and that will live there for the next 6 weeks until somebody maybe displaces you. Okay, so 100% weeks, 9-point weeks. We've got David Mills, Jonathan Lang, and of course Paul Miller, who put in a 9-point week to take the money off me right at the very end, right at the death. Well done, Paul. Well done to all of those players that got 100% weeks. And I've got an apology here because in my haste to reset the league for AFL2, I only took a partial backup of the selections database. So what does that mean? That means I know 2 of the 3 teams everyone chose. I happen to know that those 3 players had 100% records because I was in direct competition with Paul, so I was keeping an eye on Paul. And David and Jonathan are new players, and it was their first week, and I just noticed on the league table they'd played 3 and got 9 points. There are a few other players in the backup database of the database that scored 6 points over the 2 games that I have. So if I've missed anybody out with the 9-point week, get in touch with me. Let me know. Give me the 3 teams that you chose, and I'll cross-check them, and I'll give you a shout out next week. Also, Jonathan and David, I'll be pinging you just to find out what the 3rd team was, or all 3 teams, and then I'll know what your goal difference is going into the new tournament. Other news, Galacticos. So Jake, he came strong right at the end, and I've done I changed the format slightly in AFL1. I've changed it back now for AFL2 by removing. We're now including all the Premier League teams. So Jake only likes to pick Premier League teams. He won AFL0 because it was only Premier League teams, and he tried to pick just Premier League teams in this tournament. He had Man City, Brighton, and Aston Villa remaining to pick in the last week. I removed Brighton in the draw last week. Man City had a really difficult game. I removed them the week before when he could have used them. So I feel as though Jake would have been right up there challenging Darren if the format hadn't changed. So really strong tournament for Jake. No doubt he is the lead Galactico at this point. Peter had a steady tournament. He was right up there early stages, and then fell off the last couple of weeks. Finished fourth, I think. Still a good performance. However, his AFL ranking has dropped because his performances are getting worse, not better. So he was second in AFL0, fourth AFL2. The algorithm seems to think that he's dropping off rather than getting stronger. So we'll see in the next tournament. And then Michelle, my favourite subject, Michelle. So Michelle, I've got a bit of an anecdote about Michelle, a bit of a story. So when Michelle did really well in AFL0, she set the winning streak record, came third. She had 4 weeks there where she was on fire, winning every game. And I said to Stephen, her husband, my brother, Michelle's doing really well, Stephen. He said, Michelle. It's not Michelle. It's me. Yeah, I'm picking her teams. so I told Michelle, and I've got to admit, I chuckled to myself that night when Stephen was sleeping on the sofa because she was not happy. But she was determined to choose her own, to prove that she could do this. And look where that has got her. She basically came bottom of the league. She's no longer a Galactico, relegated from the Elite League. Now she'll have to fight her way back into the Elite League. So it hasn't gone very well at all for Michelle, and maybe she continues to pick her own teams, or maybe she gets Stephen to go back to picking her teams for her. Anyway, so Michelle, she's out. She's out. She's no longer a Galactico. I think the other Galacticos are embarrassed. But Michelle has been now replaced by the highest ranking elite player, which was Paul Miller. So congratulations, Paul. Paul the Punisher. You are now a Galactico. And I'm going to be talking about you every week like I do the other Galacticos. And talking about Paul, I've already mentioned it, but he's had a brilliant tournament. It was Paul or myself to win the money. Paul picked me right at the end. He put in a 9-point week. There's nothing I can do about that other than get a 9-point week, but I'm not going to do that with the likes of Leicester. So well done, Paul. Okay, promotions and relegations. Okay, so the Elite League is going to be really competitive in AFL2 because there's some really good players coming up. So we've got Darren, of course, the AFL champion, is coming up from the Pro League into the Elite League. We've got Shabba, Chris Hawkins, who had an awful AFL0, but has proven that he can do this. I think he finished about 6th, and he's had a really good tournament. So Chris is coming up. We've got Martin Andrews, Jamie Pregnall, Umair, Mike Dews. Mike Dews sneaked in right at the end. He had 1 week where he didn't even play. I have to remind him every week to put his teams in, but he's done well enough to get into the Elite League for the AFL2. So well done, Mike. What else? AFL rankings. So the new players that joined for AFL1 have now done 18 games and have got their ranking. No surprises. Darren is the top ranked player. He didn't get beat the entire tournament. He won the tournament, and he's got a really good AFL ranking. So Darren goes into the next tournament as the top seed. He is the top seed according to the algorithm, most likely to defend his title. Jake being at number 2, I am at number 3. A couple of the Galacticos, new Galactico Paul and Peter, have dropped down the rankings. The algorithm favours Jamie and Martin at 4 and 5. So they are your rankings, your seeds for the next tournament. What else? I think I've mentioned. I mentioned promotions, but not relegations. Well, Michelle was relegated bottom of the Elite League. Awful performance. The only person she was competing with all tournament was Tony Spychalski, who was also equally awful. I thought it might just be a couple of weeks where he was having a bad run, but he continued that bad run all the way through the 6 weeks. Tony used to work in a betting shop. I'm willing to bet that betting shop went bankrupt. But anyway, so the draw. We need to do the draw. 11 minutes, this video. Let's do the draw. I've got a bunch of teams. This is championship teams only now, from now on. 5 of them will be drawn out. And all Premier League teams are in AFL02. So let's do the draw. First team is Middlesbrough. Second team is Plymouth. Third team is Leeds United. Fourth team is Sheff Wednesday. And Derby County. They're the 5 championship teams, home teams, that will feature this week. So they are the fixtures for this week. The other thing is, by the time I release this video, and if you're a keen eye will have noticed that buy-in has been opened since last night. But I'm just fixing a little problem with that. But so buy-in is open. So if you want to play for the cash prize, you'll need to buy in. There's 2 buy-in tiers. A couple of players asked me to create a second tier so that they can have a smaller competition, smaller league, play for a bit more money. They'll also be buying into the lower tier, but that's explained on the Raise the Stakes page. So yeah, there's 2 buy-ins. Standard buy-in is now $11.30, and the increased high roller tier is £33. Okay, good luck everybody. Bye bye.